Right, how we doing, everyone? I hope we're all good. I'm back again for the second time today. This time looking at the 10 to 14 day long term trends and patterns for southeast England. There is a glimmer of hope on the horizon. We'll come on to that in just a minute. But we'll start off just by looking at the average, well, the mean central England temperature, where we usually do. So we see that July ended up 16.1, pretty much bang on average. And August has started in pretty much the same vein. It's rather warmer than average at the moment, but that's not due to the warm days. We've not had those. It is the muggy nights we've had, but those numbers will change and they will fluctuate quite a bit over the next few days, but no doubt they will be cooling off because we keep this unsettled theme going. Right, so no prizes for guessing out there at the moment. It is a wild afternoon and evening. The winds strong in the channel, but elsewhere they're very light. And this is all part of this low pressure system, quite a deep one that's moving across southern England at the moment. Right, now that's the situation at the moment. This is the situation tomorrow. That deep area of low pressure by then will have moved out into the southern North Sea down towards Denmark and would be drawing in a northerly breeze tomorrow. A much brighter day, it has to be said, tomorrow, with more in the way of sunshine and just a small risk of a shower. So positive news for tomorrow. By Friday, things stay rather cool. We've got high pressure trying to ridge in from the southwest. But if you just notice on this chart, what looks like a little Christmas tree, and what that is, that's a almost like a convergence line, trough line. You'll get more organised showers, and some of those could be quite heavy and thundery, I think, on Friday, and that's due to rather cool air above kind of mixing with the warm air from the ground, which is quite damp, allowing those thermals to build and bringing those afternoon heavy showers. So there's your meteorology lesson. But by Saturday, there we go, a repeat performance, another area of low pressure, a bit of a repeat performance on Saturday, very deep area of low pressure moving across the UK with strong to gale force winds in tow. Right, no prizes for guessing why it's all going on. This is the jet stream at the moment. It's moving. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? In a nice straight line, straight across the Atlantic, moving across towards the Bay of Biscay and through France. So that's keeping all the relatively cool air to the north of that jet over the UK and much of Northern Europe. But to the south of Europe, you'll see that temperatures are nearer average. I say nearer average. There's been one or two hot spots today around the Malaga area and again around the Valencia area, and that is due to the phone effect. You've got westerly breezes blowing across that Spanish plain. What it does, it rises up the mountains and then it drops. It dries, it warms, and the temperatures rise. Very local effects. And if you just take a look at the highest temperatures across Europe this afternoon, some of those highest temperatures have been around the Malaga area, 40, 41 degrees. But yeah, all fairly standard sort of stuff for them. And although, yes, we got 42 degrees at Sirte Airport in Turkey, once again, that's fairly normal for that resort. It's near the Syrian Iraq border where temperatures like that are all very typical. So the heat really is largely absent now across Europe. Anyway, we've had a look at Europe. Let's have a look at that jet stream for Sunday, because this is what we've all come on to look at. Will there be any improvements? And this is the jet on Sunday. So no real improvements, I'm afraid. That jet is still firing down from the Atlantic, taking more of a northwesterly trajectory. So expecting things to become even cooler, slightly cooler by that stage. If we just take a look at the anomalies by Sunday, there you go, rather cool across the UK. Temperatures 3 or 4 degrees below where they should be for the time of year. So we're only going to be peaking at around about sort of 18 or 19 degrees. And over Europe, look at that, some really cool anomalies for the time of year. 13 degrees below average. No doubt there's a lot of persistent rain going on there. And again, much of the Med over the weekend, generally at or below average in places like Sardinia, where you've been struggling with the heat recently. It's cooled down quite significantly, just warming up somewhat over Portugal for a while. Right, let's now move the jet forward to this time next week. Does it move north? Well, it does a little bit, but It's still too close for comfort, I think. It's still firing away across the UK, so we will still be bringing in probably low pressure systems, at least to the north of the UK. Perhaps things turning a little bit drier to the south, but if we take a look at those temperature anomalies by this time next week, we're still cool. Let's just bring that to 4 o'clock. Yeah. So we're still, well, pretty much bang on average or slightly cooler than average across the UK. So this is this time next week, but just down to towards central, southern France, parts of Spain, temperatures are starting to warm up, and perhaps that is the precursor to something a little bit more settled for the UK. Because if we take a look at that jet stream on Sunday the 13th, suddenly the jet stream has now finally started to push further north. It started to bring the warmer air north, and if we take a look at the temperature anomalies, this is on Sunday the 13th of August. We will see that across certainly the southern half of the UK, temperatures have warmed up. No major heat waves, but yeah, 4 or 5 degrees above average, bring us into the mid 20s. Could feel quite pleasant. Yeah, but at that stage, you will have noticed that much of Europe would have warmed up. So finally, a bit of a return to summer for some of those places after what has been an absolutely torrid last few months for many parts of Central and Northern Europe. So it's hope on the horizon, but until we get to next Sunday or next weekend, we still have to contend with quite a bit of frontal activity and rain at times. So I'm going to use the GFS now and just run the sequence through. So this is at 6 o'clock this evening, and yes, that low pressure system that we've had today will push out the way into the North Sea. Tomorrow is a drier day, a brighter day, rather cool with sunny skies and just the risk of a few afternoon showers. But I think most places should have will feel better tomorrow. Move it forward to Friday, so a dry and fine start, but once again, showers will develop. And if you noticed that facts chart that we saw, there's that line of showers stretching all the way down from northern England, down across the East Midlands, down towards London and the southeast. So quite a few showers, I would have thought, on Friday, and a very cool day in that northwesterly breeze. Showers die away overnight, but there's Saturday. There's the Saturday spoiler. As I've said, a bit of a repeat performance of what we've had today. Deep area of low pressure. This is by midday on Saturday, coming across the south of England. Just something to mention is that those winds are going to be potentially quite strong, and the tides are high. So, if you're on the south coast, yeah, some quite interesting high tides combined with those winds could give, well, not problems, but just possibly a bit of local flooding here and there on some of those prone beaches. Right, that low pressure pushes out of the way later on Saturday into Sunday, and in its wake, we bring in strong northerly breezes. So Sunday is an improved day, a bright day, some sunny spells, just the risk of a few showers towards the eastern parts of the southeast. So places like Norfolk, Suffolk, down towards East Kent, probably at risk of the most showers. Next Monday, right, things very do start to settle down next week. So this is the situation by Monday, a bright start, but just some showers pushing across later on in the day, and Tuesday another area of low pressure just moving across the north of England and towards Scotland enhances the shower risk down here in the southeast. By the time we get to midweek next week, just hints that high pressure is starting to build in, just suggestions that things could be starting to dry up. Certainly, initially, temperatures will take a while to warm up, but as I've mentioned, things do eventually start to warm up towards the end of the week. Temperatures firstly climb to around average, hopefully around about the Friday the 11th, then over the course of the weekend, potentially a little bit warmer still, but there will still be the risk of showers. Do not get too excited about this. We're not expecting wall to wall sunshine and heat waves at this stage, but it will be a marked improvement of where we have been. And then longer term, we're talking what, the 14th of August, all a long way off, all said in low confidence. But yeah, after that heat of the weekend or that warmth of the weekend, things potentially turning somewhat more unsettled again, but all said with low confidence. Right, we'll now just have a look at the temperature on Zombles to see if we've got much confidence in the scenarios. We're going to start off with London, so certainly for the next few days, temperatures will still be below average. Worth mentioning that the average maximum temperature for London is around about sort of 23-ish degrees. So, yep, certainly up until around about the 8th of August, temperatures will still be somewhat below average, but just hints from the 9th that things start to warm up. We'll take a look at the rainfall spikes. There's something a bit positive there that, yeah, we know it's going to be quite wet over the next few days. We've got more rain at times as that deep area of low pressure pushes through at the weekend, and perhaps another sort of bout of rain around about the 8th of August, the middle part of next week, as that last low pressure system moves through. But then just towards the end there, look at that 10th, 11th, 12th of August, potentially things starting to dry up and warm up and settle down somewhat. Talking settling down, we'll just take a look at the winds. So I use Folkestone for this one, being on the beach. It's a little bit more accurate for many coastal locations. So windy tonight, as we've seen, that soon dies down. We get a bit of a lull for a couple of days, but then by the 5th, so that's Saturday, the strong winds are back with that area of low pressure. That pushes out the way. Things calm down around Monday, but by the middle of next week, just a chance of an increase in wind again before things slowly start to settle down. And just before I bring all this to a close, we'll just take a look at the sea level pressure. So, yeah, it's right off the scale at the moment, very low. That deep area of low pressure moving across the country, as we can see at the left-hand side. Another deep-ish area of low pressure pushes through at the weekend, as we've seen. And then another one potentially around about the 8th and 9th before things slowly start to settle down, but all said with low confidence. So really, that is it in summary. I hope you've all found this forecast fairly useful. Suffice to say, we've got another week of this unsettled weather. This jet stream dominated month continues, but just signs. I know we've been here before recently, so there's signs. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but this time the end of that tunnel appears to be around about 7 or 8 days away rather than the 10 or 12 days it has been looking. So keep with it. Things could well warm up a bit. They could settle down, but I'm not too sure how long that'll last for. So just make the most of the good days when you get them. That would be my advice. Right, I'm going to sign off. I've gone on for far too long tonight, 12 and a half minutes. So all I'm going to say is thank you all very much for watching. Please continue to like, please continue to share, and please continue to subscribe. It all goes a long way to helping the channel. Thanks very much, and ciao for now.